Hello melee gamers and welcome to my new video. I decided to do this video because animation abuse is a problem that exists and will exist in every melee game. Animations play an important role as they represent in-game actions like attacks. But what if player learns to control the animations and abuse them for an advantage over their opponent? The results are unreadable and deceiving animations, which often lead to frustrations or even quitting the game. And today, we'll take a look at the art of animation control in Chivalry and Mordhau, which will include body movement, animation hiding, Wristie Twisties and some other advanced stuff. We'll also discuss whether these animation techniques are skill or an unfair abuse of game mechanisms. This is not exactly a guide, more like a documentary about an interesting topic, but you'll definitely learn something new if you pay good attention and watch the whole video. Animation control usually leads to two scenarios. Enemy sees animation, reacts incorrectly and gets punished. Or you hide animation and hit your opponent. Before we move on to the advanced techniques, let's go briefly over feints. Feinting involves deceiving your opponent into thinking that you are about to attack them, creating an opportunity for a free hit if they fall for your feint. However, executing a successful feint requires a certain level of animation control. You can use your whole body, show a lot of animations, to pressure your opponent even more. In Mordhau, as you move your mouse up and down, your character moves back and forward, allowing you to lean in or out. In Chivalry, this move is called cancel, and it's not used a lot. We will probably agree that feints and cancels are a fine part of the game, as both games provide tools to defend yourself from them with chambers or counters. Back in the old Chivalry, they were not very popular, because there was no defense mechanism against them. The only defense mechanism back then was reading the animations, which requires a lot of focus and experience. Now let's take a look at drags and accels. Drags involve delaying your attack by moving your mouse into the opposite direction of your strike. You can further enhance the effectiveness of your drags by facehugging your opponent with your weapon, causing them to panic before executing the delayed attack. Accels are the opposite of drags, where you accelerate your attack by moving your mouse in the direction of your strike, delivering the blow faster to your opponent. Drags and accels are unique techniques themselves, but there are ways to make them even more effective. Two examples are Wristie Twisties and JPEGs, which you may have used without realizing their potential benefits. When you perform a riposte in Mordhau, the animation will differ depending on the side of your parry. If you parry on the right and attack from the same side, you'll execute a Wristie Twistie. If you attack from the opposite side of your parry, you'll perform a JPEG. Wristie Twisties make your animation appear jankier and slower, while JPEGs cause your weapon to briefly float before delivering a sudden strike. We could say that Wristie Twisties are good for drags and JPEGs for accels, but it's a good idea to mix them up to be less predictable. By combining this animation knowledge with effective dragging techniques, you can gain an edge to score more hits on your opponents. Chivalry 2 has also its own version of Wristie Twisties, although they are not as powerful as those in Mordhau. When you riposte an overhead attack with a pole arm, your attack will have a slight spin to it. While this can create some pressure on your opponent, it's not a game-changing move. In both games, you can hide your animations, and these are super useful and quite easy to pull off. All you need to do is realize how your combos look with certain weapons. I'll show a first example, which works in both Chiv and Mordhau. After hitting your opponent with slash or overhead, you can turn away while preparing stab and then turning back into your opponent mid-stab. You use your body to hide your arms that are preparing an attack. This works pretty well with any weapon, but obviously it's more useful on stabby weapons like spears and polearms. This way you are giving your opponent a hard time reading your attacks. In Chivalry though, there is a risk of being chapped or attacked by one-handed weapon user. Yesterday, I have checked my dueling videos and this move is used there a lot, especially with glaive, which is both decent with slash and stab. It's possible to hide or bend animation on lots of weapons. For example, my favorite combo in Mordhau is chaining an underhand attack. It works similarly to hiding the stab, but instead you hide your underhand attack. Mordhau has more to show you than just animation hiding, and this is usually very weapon dependent. I mostly play Battle Axe and Pole Axe, which both have very funky animations I'd like to show you. Pole Axe has fucked up overhead animation, and there's not much to say, just watch.
Sorry, but move out of the way next time.
And Battle Axe has pretty normal stab, right? Look how it looks when I'm stabbing normally. That's pretty fine. And now look when I'm looking up. The animation is much more surprising and it catches a lot of players off guard. Looking up messes a lot of animations and makes them really weird, but you probably heard this already in my first video ever, didn't you? Looking up in Chivalry also messes up some animations, which is useful because combat in Chivalry revolves around counters, and to perform a successful counter you need to react fast and to react correctly. That's where animation abuse comes into play. You can exploit some animations to trick your opponent into countering incorrectly. Back in the day, looking down and slashing would result in your weapon aiming down as well. And when you were charging your attack, you would hold your weapon above the head, which would look like an overhead with some weapons. However, it seems to be fixed and I unfortunately do not have any clips. Overall, Chivalry has minimized a lot of things that are shown in this channel, and there's not many special moves left. What remains is just general animation abusing. The idea is to make your attacks look like different attack, which sounds a bit funny, but it's possible with some weapon animations. Since I've been out of shift for some time, I've reached out to my clanmates to get updated on what animations are currently broken. And most obvious example is Messer, which I remember is broken since the day 1. Messer has really wonky and floaty animations, and with some proper body movement, you can turn them into deceiving attacks. There's more weapons with funky animations, like the new cavalry sword, rapier or the Highlander sword. As I said, this is not a guide, so I'll leave you to experiment with these. To summarize this video, melee games use animations to represent attacks. However, animations can be controlled and used to deceive other players. In Mordhau, this makes other players parry too soon, giving you a free hit. In Chivalry, this makes players counter incorrectly and getting hit as well. We can discuss whether this is unfair or skill. You probably know what I think though. Animation abuse is part of the game, and if you wish to get good, you must learn to utilize what the game gives you. However, I completely understand why people get mad and why they don't like this stuff. Yesterday, I played some Mordhau and someone told me that he hates me, and someone else said, I hate you and I admire you at the same time. And I think that describes this problem very well. Sometimes I hate this shit too, but at the same time, I think this is beautiful. What do you think? Leave your opinion down in the comments and thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed my new microphone and see you next time.